My dear, darling Peggy, I've been racking my brain to think of a good way of saying this. But the truth is, there is no good way. It breaks my heart to say it, but I'm leaving you. Perhaps there's a small part of you that is aware that no matter how hard I've tried, I've never quite been able to stop myself loving Pat.
Oh, Pat and Frank's relationship was complicated, to say the least. Frank loved Pat from the moment that he saw her win Miss Butlin when she was about 17. But it never quite went right. Nothing melded and joined in the right places. It always went wrong somewhere along the line.
Over a year I waited for you to come back. A year of stomach-churning worry, of sleepless nights, of having to face people out there knowing that they were talking about me. I scrubbed people's floors. I cleaned their toilets. I worked 14 hours a day to keep this place going and to put food on the table, not for me. Oh, no. I could have quite happily done a runner and all.
They couldn't live with each other. They couldn't live without each other. In fact, I remember John York, head of series, and Tony Jordan, writer-producer, saying to me once that they felt that the only real love story in EastEnders was Pat and Frank.
I had no reason to expect that you hadn't found someone else. Of course you needed a friend. Someone to talk to, someone to take you out now and again. Like you said, it's been nearly 2 years. It hasn't crossed my mind, but there you go, that's me, on it. It doesn't have to make a difference. I'm back now. And doesn't matter what he thinks or anybody else thinks, I know you still love me.
When he came back, Pat had married Roy. And for whatever that was, it was security. I don't think it was the greatest love in the world. Which is a pity, because Tony Cornter is a lovely man. And so Frank got his feet under the table with Peggy.
Now, are you sure you haven't forgotten anything?
No, I don't think so.
A coffee table, kitchen sink, picture of the Queen and the Wrens.
Are you taking the mickey?
No, I'm just checking, that's all.
No, it's Terry and I who meeting us over here.
He didn't say, darling.
Well, don't you think you better phone them? I mean, there's only 4 of us and we could all share the same cat.
Jawohl, mein Führer.
I heard that.
They went off to the sun. And we know what happens when you're in the sun. Get a bit hot under the collar. This was a place of retreat, of sunshine, of happiness. And the fact that she could prove to herself that actually she was better than Peggy.
What is he talking about?
I'm talking about life. The rods that we forged to beat ourselves up with. I mean, like you and Pat. Who knows where you'd be now if you just accepted what you had and hadn't aspired for something else, like Peggy.
I think you've said enough, Belle.
I've heard enough.
I think we'll go inside, yeah?
So, they ended up in bed.
I've missed you, babe.
I know. I suppose we'd better get up before the others get back.
No. Come on, 5 more minutes, please.
In order to get us all in this tiny little bedroom, although it had a sort of small double bed, the cameraman had to be in the lavatory, standing on the lavatory pan with the door open. The sound man had to get round him and between his legs or whatever. Because it's so tiny. So of course we started off laughing. That was which was good. And well, what can I say? It went from there. I remember the day very well when poor Mike Reed had to come into the studio, freezing cold studio. with his bow tie. He did have his underpants on, but I mean, he was actually meant not to have. But, oh, I felt so sorry for him. It really was cold and miserable. But it's lovely because I still get people who saw that, you know, reminding me of it. It was something which, when people loved, they found it very amusing.
Where are your clothes?
Outside in the yard.
Did anybody see you?
Just a couple of lads to the market, that's all.
You sure?
Come on, relax. Only you've seen me.
I've got a naked man in my kitchen. He's telling me to relax.
Not quite naked. Voila.
Well, I suppose that whizzing bow tie summed up the best of Pat and Frank, which really was perhaps a little shallow. But if it was happy, then that was great.
What are you doing here? You trying to kill me?
It wasn't my choice. I was forced.
All right, well, listen to this. That note I wrote to Peggy, telling her what we were doing, it's gone missing.
Where is it?
Phil.
What?
He's got it. It can only be in. I'm going to go over there now to try and sort it out.
Mike Reed was a devil to work with. Well, I mean, he wanted to do, you know, he wanted to do his gig, didn't he? Which was great. And if anybody else messed about, it was like, I'm not sticking up with this. I'm going. I'm off. But he was lovely. He really was.
I just want to know that while you was up there, did you happen to see a note with Peggy's name on it?
Oh, I do remember an envelope,
That's a yes, then, isn't it?
but I don't remember picking it up.
Now, this is very important. I'd like you to think about this. What do you think you might have done with it if you did?
Put it in the bin if I wasn't thinking properly. Oh, I'm really sorry. Shall I go and have a look for it now?
No. You stay where you are, darling. You're fine. Don't worry about it at all. And I promise you, you're not in any trouble, okay? Yeah, good girl.
The wonderful thing about a series is that you're developing it all the time. It's happening like your life is happening. Your personality is changing in the way that it does in real life. So all those things that you have to do for static drama, in a funny sort of way, you don't have to do because it comes at you. If something is really, really heavy, we got a good amount of notice. I never liked to be told too much in advance what I was doing. I mean, the thread, yes, but you know, you do get actors who, you know, tippy up to the office. Can I just have a word with so and so because I'm wondering if I could just, you know. And actually, what they're doing is trying to puff up their part. And I'd much rather treat it as life. It takes me by surprise as much as it takes Pat by surprise and vice versa.
Sorry, only I've just remembered. When Mr. Butcher asked me about it earlier, I was in a bit of a tiz and I wasn't thinking straight. But I've remembered now.
Yeah, you know, you can see how it is, darling.
Yeah, the thing is, I didn't want to say anything about it earlier in case it was lost and I'd get the blame, only it's coming back to me now. I did pick it up when I was wiping the kitchen table and I thought I'd put it back down again, but I didn't. I put it in the pocket of my cleaning apron because I've just been to check. I can look.
What's that?
It's the note that Mr. Butcher was looking for, but as it's got your name on it, I'm giving it to you.
Oh, Tar.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Barbara and I were great mates.
Fine in here, Peggy, when you're ready, please.
Oh, yes, Jim.
She was a doll, absolute doll. Barbara and I were very similar in that we didn't want to not get a slap right by pulling back. We both said, I'd rather have a hit than it looks naff. And I said, if you want to, you know, give me one, just do it. So in the pub, she read the letter. She turned to Frank. She gave him a whack. She turned to me and gave me a whack, which was a whack. And all I could think of was not, whoops, it was, my earring's just come off. I don't know where it is, and it's going to bugger up the continuity. So I was sort of, it's a ridiculous thing to be thinking at that point. What about the continuity? Fortunately, when I saw it back, sorry to run back because I said something, it was fine. It was, for some reason, it must have been the position I was in, it didn't show that it had gone. So that was, thank goodness for that. But yes, that was Peggy's revenge.
Oh, hope you all enjoyed the fireworks. Good night.
I think Pat had some sort of strange idea of roses and hearts and silly woman. I think she probably thought, what are you doing? You've got security here. You've got a man who loves you, who's kind.
Perhaps we should think about redecorating in here.
Who's understanding.
I've lost count of the times I've said this to you, Roy.
Who's gentle.
I really don't deserve you.
And so she assumed. She assumed that going back to Roy would be fine.
Right. This is year zero, yeah? No more lies, no more deceit. And if we're unhappy about something, we come right out and say it, yes? There's no bottling it up.
No.
Right. I'll start. I don't like your earrings.
I beg your pardon?
None of them. I never have. I think they're cheap and vulgar, and I'd prefer it if you didn't wear them.
You never said anything before.
No, I haven't. But I'm saying it now.
Well, I don't think you should ever be proud of anything you've done. I mean, you can watch it and enjoy it. I do sometimes watch something I've done and think, oh no, I think I got that wrong. Wish I'd done that. Can I go back? But I think the only judgment I could make about how I felt about a performance after is whether I think I've given it a fair crack of the whip. And the story comes over, and so does what you're trying to say about, as the character. I think probably the Bonfire Night this episode, is one that worked beautifully, but then I thought that Mike and Barbara gave cracking performances in those. I really did. So I was able to just sit back and watch them and not have to think about me, if you see what I mean. I mean, I wasn't in the way, but I was so concentrated on them, which was, I think they were fantastic.
Hey! Hey! I'm sorry!
Oh my, I certainly remember filming this episode where I was soaked to the skin for I don't know how many hours.
I love you! I love you!
For some extraordinary reason, the person who was running the floor wouldn't let anybody come anywhere near me to just pad the wet that was running down the back of my... I mean, I know that I had to be kept wet because that was continuity, so we were picking up bits here and there, shots from the square, etc. But I wasn't going to dry myself down completely, and I just needed to actually be able to see out of running eyes, and I mean, absolutely soaked. We had an enormous Bowser. I don't know how many feet it was, because we all know you can't rely on rain looking like rain, and it was a very, very unpleasant experience. No acting required in actors' phraseology. That was not comfortable. Pleased to say I didn't catch anything afterwards. Didn't get pneumonia. I wonder if I miss Pat. I think that's something that I haven't really thought of terribly long. long and hard. I think I'm pleased, in a sense, to have unburdened myself of Pat. Not for a reason of not liking playing it. I perhaps just needed not to be playing it. And I wasn't living with the character. I mean, I wasn't, in no way was the character impinging on my life. But I think I needed a break from it. And I didn't have a break soon enough, unfortunately. Somebody said to me when I left, "Go on, off you go, go and have a few weeks, a few months in the sun." And that was the last thing I wanted. Anyway, it was quite demanding. After, that's when somebody's trying to get hold of you, or people are, thank you very much, God, of offering you things, and you need to be around. So I kept putting it off, and I didn't mourn her as I should have done. But never mind, I can always put iPlayer on and say hello.